Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder and president and CEO of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and also what's happening on the African continent. If you if you're joining us for the first time, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe button on my YouTube page. Ladies and gentlemen, we encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topics in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcasts and our video podcasts go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your friends on social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This podcast is available in two forms: audio as well as a written text, in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I would like to encourage my listeners to please subscribe to my Medium page. And so I'm going to have the my Medium transcript in the comment section below this audio podcast. And if you click on that, then you can read along word for word this presentation. Attention, Black artists, African artists who are authors, comedians, poets, musicians, or entrepreneurs. I share my platform with those of you who are on my social media pages or in my social groups on Facebook and LinkedIn. All you have to do is make arrangements with me to come on this platform, so that way you can promote your books, your business, your music, your jokes. And if you have a small ministry, then you're more than welcome to share that as well. We will give you 30 minutes to share a sermon with my listeners from the global community. After the show, I offer an incentive to my guest speakers by teaching them how to create their own podcasts, YouTube channels, and get it monetized, as well as assist them with creating a free Wix website. If they work hard at growing their audience, then they will get sponsors who will help fund either their online business or online ministries. So, again, I use my platform to not just sit up here and just trying to, sell my book and try to get people to donate to the film project. It's more than that. And again, my book is just the beginning. I want to move this business from behind a computer, make our presence known in the low-income Black community, low-income Black neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. And again, like I say, I'm willing to share this platform. And I'm also going to do the same thing when I have my real business, except we're going to charge a small fee because I have to pay my employees. But for right now, it's free to come on this platform. Now, you're going to have to know how to use StreamYard or Zoom. If you do not know how to use that, no problem. I'm willing to teach you. I'm willing to teach you how to use both of them. Also, I want to encourage my listeners to please purchase my ebook for $9.99. Purchase that, read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then you will automatically become a GERCAM member. And it doesn't matter where you live. You can live within the United States or you can live abroad. It doesn't matter. But one thing we're going to have to clear up, and that is those of you that's on my friends list, those of you that's in my social groups, especially my Christian groups, Light of the World Inspirational Group and Christian Spoken Word Network. I mean, if you're not interested in solving Black issues or solving African issues, I suggest you just delete me off your friends list and go on about your business. I'm here to recruit brave and smart, like-minded Black Americans, brave and smart, like-minded African immigrants, and continental Africans. That's who I'm trying to connect with. Those that's not interested, please just delete me off your friends list on the real. For example, on LinkedIn alone, I have 12,000 followers. However, my book is still barely selling. It's been on Amazon now for 14 years. That's all I have is my revised book, my virtual store, and now I'm trying to do a film project. Ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely difficult. Very difficult. Trying to work with our people, Black people, African people, is hard. But I care about our children. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. I do not want to be doing this another 34 years. Once I'm able to get this film project fully funded and made, that's going to put me in a better position financially so that way I can hire Black people, African people, and others. Ladies and gentlemen. Then I can be released from being here in the United States of America and bring my business over to the African continent. That's all I am trying to do. It should not have to take no 34 years. But again, this is spiritual warfare at its best. Because if it was up to me, everybody would be on board from day one back in the early 90s. But hey, it is what it is. So, and also, I want to encourage people to come on my our monthly virtual interactive conference. That's going to be Saturday, April 25th. So please mark your calendar for that. I'm only looking for 5 people. So that way I don't have to just sit up here and be doing all the talking. Also, if anybody would like to debate me, then send me your email address to my inbox. Those of you that's on my friends list, that is. I'm willing to debate anybody on camera. And I'm standing my ground because, again, I've been pushing this for 34 years. Again, I do not want to be doing this another 34 years. This is why I'm reaching out to African immigrants within the United States. This is why I'm reaching out to the global African family. Trying to create legitimate business to give, I would say, Black Americans and African immigrants an opportunity to earn money, to work for my company. That's all. So that they can feed their families. And so the topic that we're going to talk about tonight is, or sorry, this morning is going to be very important because all the topics that I try to look up and discuss is real life issues. So, okay, so let me go ahead and get to these dates. I am available Monday. Um, okay, sorry, I'm available Tuesday, April 7th, Thursday, April 9th, Friday, April 10th, Saturday, April 11th, Sunday, April 12th, Wednesday, April 15th, Thursday, April 16th, Friday, April 17th, Saturday, April 18th, Sunday, April 19th, Tuesday, April 21st, Wednesday, April 22nd, Thursday, April 23rd, Friday, April 24th, Saturday, April 26th, Monday, April 27th, Tuesday, April 28th, Wednesday, April 29th, and Thursday, April 30th. Um, from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. American Central Time. And again, that's geared toward people that want to come on this platform to promote their products or services, as well as for those that want to learn how to use StreamYard and Zoom. So um, that's what we're going to be doing, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to come on this platform. I want to do more than just news and social commentary, but again, this is where I'm currently at because unfortunately, I'm not making any money from my book sale or from my virtual store, and that's real talk. I wrote my book in order to generate capital. I wrote I created my virtual store in order to generate capital. So that way I can hire my staff. That's all I'm trying to do, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're going to work for my business, you're going to have to come correct. And my business, we're about raising the bar. That's why I want you to read my story first so you'll know what you get yourself involved with. And because of all of this, I would say disrespect and a lot of confusion, in the black community, as well as on the African continent, my business will be membership based. I'm only responsible for those that's going to become GERCAM members, point blank. Those that's not part of us, we pray for them, we show them tough love, and we keep it moving. Ladies and gentlemen, I created this platform in order to broadcast my vision and plan across the United States of America in order to recruit brave and smart, like minded Black Americans beyond Chicago, because I can't find them here in Chicago. 34 years. A lot of people that I run across in real life, they tell me that they're not interested. And I respect their wishes, you know what I'm saying? I cool, you ain't interested, I'll leave you alone. You know what I'm saying? But once I start making money, once I get this business up and running, mark my words, those same people that sat up here and rejected my vision and plan for the past 34 years, mark my words, they're going to want to be a part of this business then. And all I'm going to say is ain't nothing changing. Those that rejected my vision and plan would not be part of my business because this is membership based. And you didn't want to be a part of it when I reached out to you. And that includes my family members as well. This is how I get down. I also want to recruit brave and smart, like-minded African immigrants within the United States of America from 10 African nations. That would be South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. I'm encouraging both groups of people to please first purchase my ebook, which is available for $9.99. Um, it's available on my Amazon author page. You can find that in the comment section below this audio podcast. Okay? Read my story for yourself so you'll know what you're getting yourself involved with. Everything that I've written in that book, that's what we're going to carry out to the fullest. That's the foundation of my Christian business. The title of my book is called, quote, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. It's also available as a softcover book for $15 plus shipping and handling. I'm also reaching out again to the global African family. All I'm asking you to do is please purchase my ebook for $9.99 and help me get that book on that bestsellers list. So that way I can be in a better position financially to hire Black people, African people, and others. And also so I can bring my business expanded over to your African nation. I want my advisory board or resource team to have an associate's degree or above. I want Black attorneys / African attorneys, investors, Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and philanthropists. Once we get our film project fully funded and made, and the proceeds from the film starts pouring in, then I would be in a better position financially to purchase property in Chicago, Illinois, buy office equipment, hire qualified Black middle class professionals, and qualified African immigrants. So that's what this is all about. Again, it doesn't matter how bad I want to get my Black Christian business up and running in Chicago. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, which is to build the best Black Christian business within the United States of America. And that is the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. I'm not going to build it by myself. It's going to be GRCAM members, both Black Americans and African immigrants. We're going to build that for credibility. We're going to build that in the devil's stronghold, the Black ghettos. I'm not going over there to play games. We want to go there to work with Black families that want more out of life. Because at this point in time in the game, Black America has only two options: either embrace annihilation or embrace survival. Again, I'm only responsible for GRCAM members. Those that's not part of us, ain't nothing I can do. I'm calling upon Black content creators and African content creators who have a large audience. Please allow me to come on your platform so that way I can speak to your audience about my revised book and my film project. My Christian business is for Black millennials and Generation Z. I don't want the brand and the vision to die in America. I want to push this vision to the Black world. And this is my contribution to Africa's rising. I want to be a part of that. But before I cut and run to Africa, we got to get it popping here in America first for credibility. Once we get it started here in Chicago, then I'm free. I can release it over to my management team and turn it over to them and bring it over to the African continent. And when I come to Africa, our focus will only be on solving African issues point blank. Ain't nothing changing. But, and that's going to be in South Africa. But again, because my Lord and Savior slash Jesus slash Joshua, he's the one that gave me this vision, placed it on my heart to get it started here in Chicago first. This is the love I have for my racial group. Black Americans who identify as DAS FM, descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. That's who I'm here to serve for those who become GRCAM members. If you agree, if you agree with my vision and plan, you will automatically become a GRCAM member. Also, I would like for those of you that have read my story and also that agree with the vision and plan, and also who live here within the United States of America, to please consider joining our film project team. I'm looking for legitimate Black filmmakers, African filmmakers, directors, producers, actors, stage managers, professional fundraisers, technical directors, and marketers who can come to Chicago to shoot the film once we raise the capital. If you are serious about doing business with me, then please make yourself known to me. Don't wait until I am dead. Work with me while I am alive. 34 years. I mean, this is it's straight up it's very disrespectful. It's a doggone shame, but hey, it is what it is. And I want to make sure none of my members never have to endure such foolishness that I had to go through just for trying to start something, build something positive in the Black community. Although we don't have a physical building at this time, we are using technology to broadcast what we're trying to do in Black Chicago and beyond. On this platform, we are genuine, sincere, transparent, and authentic. This event will help expand your network, enhance your profile visibility, and make more meaningful connections with the global community. This year, we are determined to get this film project fully funded and made so that way we can move our story to the big screen in order to reach the Black world and let them know who we are and what we're trying to do for my people, Black Americans who identify as DAS FM, descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. Although, um, I have little to no support, but hey, I believe in the cause. The cause is to help stop the genocide in American ghettos. Our mission is to help eradicate urban violence in Chicago through art, culture, commerce, spiritual development, as well as hosting African tours. We're going to visit the 10 African nations that I mentioned earlier. But before we do all those things, we're going to have to get it. We will get it popping here in America first, in Chicago. That's all I'm saying. Upcoming events. I would like to encourage my listeners to please mark your calendar for our upcoming events. Wednesday, April 29th, we have guest speaker, Pastor Denise B. Lawrence from Georgia. Saturday, April 25th, we're hosting our monthly virtual interactive conference. Again, I would like to encourage at least 5 people from one of my social media sites to be on our panel, either from my Facebook page, my Instagram page, my TikTok page, my LinkedIn page, or my X page. If interested in being on the panel, then please send me a message to my inbox along with your email address so that way I can email you specific instructions about being on the panel. Now, again, on LinkedIn alone, I have 12,000 followers. That's good. However, book is still barely selling. So there, what's wrong with this picture? So what that tells me is that it's a lot of people that's online, just all about fun and games, just want to be seen. Um, you know, that's not what I'm on here for. I'm here to recruit brave and smart people. You know what I'm saying? So we can move from behind the computer. I'm not trying to cower behind a computer. I want to bring this business over to, like I say, bring it to the devil's stronghold, the black ghettos. Going to make our presence known on the west side of Chicago, Austin. We're going to cover Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale. And we also going to expand it to the south side of Chicago, make our presence known over there as well. That's all I'm. This is what I want to be remembered for, trying to do something. It's not my fault. It's been 34 years and I'm still on first base. This is how come I created this platform. This is how come I'm challenging everybody that's on my friends list. If you're not interested in solving black issues or African issues, again, delete me off your friends list and go on about your business. That's all I'm saying. Don't wait until I blow up and start making money and we making a positive impact in the black community, and then you want to come around and talk about some congratulations. I don't want to hear that mess. We strangers for life. That's how I feel. Um. So, all right. With all that being said, um, so the theme for the 25th, um, CAM members worldwide, please stand up. When when are we going to get this film project fully funded and made? When? April 25th, time 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. Title of this presentation: Edward Blum sues Edward Blum's lawsuit against CBC, what it means for DAS FM reparations and birthright citizenship. Our first topic: Edward Blum's lawsuit against CBC, what it means for DAS FM reparations. In this episode, we will discuss Edward Blum's, the man who dismantled affirmative action at Harvard, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. Now he is filing another lawsuit against the Congressional Black Caucus Scholarship Program. Most people are outraged, but descendants of American slaves / freedmen should be paying close attention because this lawsuit may have accidentally handed us the strongest legal argument for reparation we've seen in decades. Plus, we're going to discuss Roland Martin's talking points. He was half right. We will discuss the half he got wrong. I need to say something that's going to make a lot of black people uncomfortable. Edward Blum, the man who dismantled affirmative action at Harvard, the man who has made a career out of using race based programs, may have just handed descendants of American slaves / freedmen the most powerful legal argument we've had in decades, and nobody is talking about it. This lawsuit isn't the attack people think it is. It's actually an opening. First, let's understand who we're dealing with. Edward Blum runs an organization called the American Alliance for Equal Rights. His entire mission is to dismantle race based programs in America. Notice that he is only targeting Black organizations, he's not targeting Asian organizations or Latino organizations. And that's race based. See what this double standard? And again, this is why Black Americans, we have to get on code. Now, for me, on code mean we have to be in agreement. Those of us from the Black grassroots, and I want to take it a step further. We have to separate ourselves from the enemy within. That's con artists, pedophiles, degenerates, hardened criminals, urban terrorists. We have to separate from those people because those people don't mean our racial group any good at all. And that's how come I believe I'm just going there. I don't have a lot of support because, you know, um, I would say a lot of Black people keep saying to me, oh, we should all just get along. No, I can't build with some off code Negro, some con artist. And especially if, anyway, all I want to say is that there will be consequences in my business. And I talk about that stuff in the book, so I'm not going to get into that right now. He's the architect behind the 2023 Supreme Court ruling that ended affirmative action in college admission. He is he he's been doing this for years legally and effectively. Now he's filed a lawsuit in a federal court in Washington D.C. against the Congressional Black Caucus. The targeting the CBC Spouses Education Scholarship, a program that has awarded over $11 million exclusively to Black students since 1988. The scholarships range from $2,500 to $20,000 and serves 300 applicants per year. His argument is that limiting the scholarship to Black students in districts represented by CBC members is racially discrimination and therefore unconstitutional. He's suing on behalf of two students, one Asian and one Hispanic, who are members of his organization. Now, here's where most people stop and say this is an attack on Black America. The real question isn't whether Blum is right or not morally. The question is, what does this lawsuit force us to confront? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Race based programs in America are on borrowed time. The Supreme Court has already told us that in 2023, the legal framework that has protected affirmative action, race conscious scholarships, and diversity initiatives are being dismantled through the courts. And the CBC scholarship, as it is currently structured, is vulnerable. Why? Because it uses race as the primary eligibility criteria. This is a losing argument in the federal court. If we're going to fight for resources, for scholarships, for reparative programs, we need a stronger legal foundation than race alone, and that already exists. It's called lineage based, specifically descendants from enslaved people in the United States of America. This is actually the most historical, precise, and legal defense argument for targeting programs that Black Americans have ever had because it doesn't say Black, it says descendants of American slaves. And that distinction changes everything in a courtroom. When you argue race, you open the door to every person of African descent in the United States of America. For example, recent African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, Afro Latinos, anyone who checked the that black box on a form. That's a broad category that dilutes the specific harm done to a specific group of people from this nation. But when you argue lineage, you say this program is for this program is designed for descendants of American slaves slash freedmen, then it's codified in law. Our ancestors built this whole country's wealth. Our families were denied land, education, voting rights, and generational wealth. This is all documented in the American history books. The U.S. government sanctioned policies such as the Freeman's Rule. This is the legal language that holds up in court, not what the president of Ghana was talking about last week at the UN, because he was talking about the transatlantic slave trade, and he was talking about reparations for that, but you know that didn't fly. Like I said on this platform last week, all of the Sub-Saharan African nations should get behind Namibia and help them push for reparations from Germany for colonization. Once they win their case, then you all can start targeting those European nations which colonize your nation. The Caribbean nation have CARICOM to assist them in getting reparations for enslavement. Brazil has to seek reparation for enslavement from Portugal. Only Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves or FBA, Foundational Black Americans, can seek reparations from the United States of America, because the United States government has paid reparation before to Japanese Americans during World War II and also to Native American tribes. In both cases, the payments were tied to documented lineage and documented harm, not racial identity. Although reparations were denied to the survivors of Black Wall Street, we have to continue to put pressure on these white supremacist financial elites. Why? Because they're the ones that write all these laws and rules and regulations. So we got to fight them with their own words. You know what I'm saying? And fight them not physically, but intellectually. That's how you win. Edward Blum's lawsuit, whether it's intent or not, is pushing us toward a conversation we must have in Black America. If race based eligibility is unconstitutional, then lineage based eligibility becomes the only legal sound path forward for programs designed to address the specific harms done to descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. Every descendant of enslaved people has a documented, traceable, historical, verified claim. The number one argument against reparation has always been, quote, how do you determine who qualifies? Critics say you can't pay reparation based on race because race is too broad, too subjective, and legally unenforceable, especially after the 2023 ruling. But lineage is documented. Lineage is verifiable. Lineage is the exact framework that every other reparative payment in American history has used. If the CBC scholarship is forced to restructure around lineage rather than race, then that sets a legal precedent. It established that programs targeting descendants of American slaves slash freemen are unconstitutionally defensible in a way that race-based programs are not. That is not a loss. That's a win. And here's what even more important. A lineage-based framework excludes people who have no historical claim to our reparations. Just like what happened with our grandparents during the civil rights era. You know, the white supremacist financial elites had a loophole in when they wrote or when they passed the civil rights bill, and that was to include minority. So that allowed white women, even though this is really, it's just disgraceful. How these people want to play these word games with language. But anyway, white women, they were able to be considered a minority, so they qualified for our, well, anyway, they piggyback off our struggles. um LGBT, um I would say, Latinos, Asians, all of them, they just put them all under um, people of minorities that qualify for our what our grandparents were fighting for, all their struggles. They wanted them to piggyback off our struggles, basically, and that wasn't right. But no, they can't piggyback off of this because no other group was on those plantations. You know what I'm saying? So basically, that guy, he showed us a loophole. Here's my challenge to every descendant of American slaves, freedmen, FBA, and ADOS. Stop reacting to Edward Bloom and start studying him uh, like he's a teacher. This man has used the legal system more effectively to advance his agenda than Black Americans have used it to advance ours. And we have a far more legitimate grievance. When Edward Bloom sues, he wins and he reshaped policies. But this is what we need to do as Black Americans. We protest, we vote, and then we wait. That has to change. The CBC scholarship lawsuit is a moment. It's a moment to pivot from race-based argument that are legally vulnerable to lineage-based argument that are historically airtight. The question is, we are paying attention to. Um, Let me say that again. The question is, we are paying attention, or are we going to spend the next 6 months being outraged on social media while Bloom files more lawsuits? The legal system is a tool. Edward Bloom knows that it's time that descendants of American slaves slash freedmen learn about how to use that same tool for our advantage. I ran across a video clip about Roland Martin, include quote entitled quote Black Americans Under Attack. Reverend Barber calls for mass mobilization unquote. Honestly, some of what he said during this video clip, he was actually correct. But here's the problem with being half right. The half that's wrong can do just as much damage as being completely wrong. And when you have a platform as large as Roland's, that matters. He is a Democrat shield and also a member of the Black Boule. And those are the enemies of Black America. Talk about that all the time. When he started his profanity driven rhetoric, this his viewership increased. This is why he constantly trash talk FBA, but I want to break down the video. The title of my platform is Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I always talk about Black American is under assault for the past 34 years, and I'm still on first base. And that's unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. I'm not on here doing these weekly podcasts for my health and writing all this stuff and doing the research. I want to get this film project fully funded and made. I want to make our presence known in the Black community. And I want to get the business popping on the African continent so we can do trade among ourselves. But first and foremost, we have to heal. Black Americans got to heal from this slave mentality. African immigrants got to heal from that colonized mindset. And we're going to do that through the Kai of Chicago. So help me God. I'm trying to recruit brave and smart, like-minded Black Americans, brave and smart, like-minded African immigrants to first help me get my revised book on that bestsellers list. You know what I'm saying? Put me on blast. Participate. Come on this platform. If you're camera shy, then just use, I would say just cover up your camera so people can just hear your voice, so just do audio. But bottom line, I need you all to participate. I want to move this thing to the next level, but hey, I'm just one Black man with a vision and a plan. It takes a team to make a dream work. Our focus is on cleaning up those inner cities and focusing on improving the lives of Black Americans in the low income Black community or low income Black neighborhoods. Those who are trapped in American ghettos literally face life and death on a daily basis, and those in those overlooked low income Black communities and low income Black neighborhoods. Hospitals are being shut down because of budget cuts on Medicare and Medicaid due to an unprovoked war with Iran. In addition, while America battles inflation and rising costs, Democrats are pushing hard for reparations for illegal immigrants. If the Democrats win the midterms in November and take Congress, they are going to issue reparations to illegal immigrants. Black Americans or Black voters, I know you all love that being on that Democrat plantation because 2024, 92% of Black women, they said with their chest out proud that they voted for Kamala Harris. But I'm glad that woman lost because this was a big wake-up call for you. And here I am. Been pushing this, my vision and plan to Black American for the past 34 years, and still I'm on first base. If you would use that same energy that y'all use to help raise funds for Kamala Harris campaign, y'all help raise $1 million for her. And I'm just saying, and that was within 3 hours. Use that same energy to help raise funds for our film project. $250,000. That's all I'm trying to raise. So that way, not just myself, but I'm a higher qualified people that's going to help me run the film, be part of the film team and all that. But we want to make a productive and quality Black empowerment film. There is no federal U.S. government program that has ever paid formal reparations, whether it's cash payments for any type of historical wrong, specifically to undocumented immigrants. Undocumented immigrants have long been barred from most federal welfare, cash assistance, and benefits under the 1996 Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act. They can access emergency Medicaid, public education for children, and some emergency services, but not broad entitlements. That is the law. Critics frame this as Democrats wanting to pay people who broke immigration law for the trauma of facing the consequences. It is a proposal only. It's not law. However, it's going to become law. It's going to become funded, and it's going to have some public policy passed to be enacted if the Democrats take over con- Congress in November in the midterms. Some sanctuary cities have already given aid to recent migrants. Many undocumented or asylum seekers in New York City, um, short short form prepaid debit cards. They were getting $350 a week per family of four for food and baby supplies, a total of 3.2 to 53 million dollars. Here in Chicago, we spent tens of millions on migrant shelters, sparking backlash from Black Chicagoan residents who demand our own reparation funds. Shout out to Chicago Flips Red, grassroots activists. These are humanitarian shelter food programs not labeled reparations by cities, though opponents call them de facto handouts to illegals. So that's exactly what it was. De facto handouts. I'm going to break down past reparations and compensation programs involving migrants and illegals. These programs have given illegals and migrants some type of restitution, some type of economic funding. No federal cash reparation program has ever existed specifically for undocumented immigrants, illegals as a class. So, funding reparation payments made because someone entered or stayed illegally. In 1988 Civil Liberties Act, Japanese Americans internment reparations. They were paid $20,000 each, a total of 1.6 billion. A formal apology was said, and 82 survivors of World War II internment camps. Recipients were overwhelmingly U.S. citizens or legal Japanese immigrants, not illegals. This remains the main U.S. present for immigrants group redress. So when the Japanese Americans internment reparations were handed out, they were actually citizens or they were here legally. And now you have the Trump era family separations that was in 2018, lawsuits by separating migrant families, many of whom cross illegally or presented at ports, led to a Biden era settlement negotiation in 2021. Media reports potential payouts up to $450,000 per person. The White House called the high figures garbage and talk largely collapsed without broader payments. Some individual claims were settled quietly, but this was lawsuit compensation for Pacific family separated trauma, not blanket reparation for all undocumented immigrants. Some of the payments were paid out pending certain lawsuits. But no one wants to talk about Black Americans. People have a problem when Tariq Nasheed and other Black content creators, such as myself, from the Black grassroots, start talking about an actual number for reparations. I recommend $5 trillion because of the $10 trillion wealth gap between blacks and whites in America. California, New York, and a few others created a one-time COVID un, unemployment style payment or debit card for undocumented workers excluded from federal aid. New York paid out $2 billion. California gave them $500 cards. These were pandemic reliefs, not called reparation and not tied to immigration reinforcement trauma. And now, currently, you have Representative pa- Pamela Jayapal proposing reparation to children of illegal immigrants traumatized by ICE deportations. This is just rhetoric. Like I said last week, if the Democrats win Congress in November, then it's going to be a bill. It's going to be funded and they're going to have the votes to get it passed. So now that brings me back to Black America. What are Black Americans going to do? We have Reverend Barber protesting outside of the Supreme Court. We have a lot of Black people protesting in support of illegals. Why? Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Before I go into my second topic, I want to say to my listeners that unfortunately my Substack page has been taken down. Like I say, I mean, I'm not bugging anybody. I'm just reporting the news. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess some people got offended and all that stuff. So yeah, they shut it down. Don't, don't even make sense. But again, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that's listening to this, you have an opportunity to be part of history. This docudrama is very important and it's really needed in this day and age. I don't care if people don't like me. I'm not here for you to like me. All I care about, as long as you respect me and you come to me with clean hands, because I'm not having anybody in my business that's full of corruption. That's not going to happen on my watch, and that's real. And again, that's why I'm getting a lot of pushback. Here's what it is. But that's how come I created this platform. I'm beating that drum loud and clear. But this is all I can do, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to you to help me move this thing to the next level. All I'm selling is a book, for crying out loud. The Dope Man has more support from the Black community than me. And he's destroying the Black community, selling dope, selling poisoning in the Black community hurts the Black community. It destroys the Black community. It causes Black on Black crime. I sell ideas. In my business, we're going to have two types of business. We're going to have a for-profit business. That's why I'm going to make my bread and butter. We're going to own and control our own community. Grocery store community, healthcare clinic, and community housing. Because all of us as human beings, need food, healthcare, and shelter. And that's one way how I'm going to make my money right there. The nonprofit portion is to help, our less fortunate brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? My bottom line is I want to try to help keep our youth out of the streets and out of gangs. That's how we're going to help stop the genocide in American ghettos by making Chicago a model first, ladies and gentlemen. But now, after 34 years, doggone it, I'm sick and tired. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting up in age, and so I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and do a film. This is my last attempt to try to do something productive for my racial group. So once we get that out there, I generate some capital, I hire qualified people, then I can turn the business over and I can expand it to the African continent. Um, our second topic, birthright citizenship. Immigration has nothing to do with us. So black public figures and civil rights groups such as the NAACP, Roland Martin, Reverend Barber, and others who oppose Trump's effort to limit birthright citizenship argue that it threatens Black American citizenship for these main reasons. So they are protesting the Trump administration to add an asterisk next to the 14th Amendment because they're saying if the Trump administration wins the case, it may harm Black people. And that's not the case at all. It's actually going to protect us more. The amendment ratified in 1868 was explicitly passed after the Civil War to overthrow the Dred Scott decision of 1857, which had ruled that Black people enslaved or freed could never be U.S. citizens. Its citizenship clause, all persons born or naturalized United States are subject to the jurisdiction, therefore are citizens, was designated to guarantee automatic citizenship to Black people born on U.S. soil and protect them for being treated as perpetual outsiders or second class citizens. The Democrats are viewing it as an attack on the entire 14th Amendment. Once the rule is narrowed by executive order, it could create a slippery slope where citizenship becomes more conditional or even open to further challenges based on race, ancestry, and loyalty. We have the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment that protects not just only Black Americans, but all Americans. There's a reason why you have people like Roland Martin and Reverend Barber who are championing for illegal immigration because they are bought and paid for by wealthy organizations that are putting money in their pockets to misinform you. Everyone in the Congressional Black Caucus are bought and paid for. They do not represent Black America's interests at all. Critics fear that eroding of birthright citizenship is why they tie immigration restriction to Black citizenship. The Democrats are trying to lump Somalians, illegals, Asians, East Indians into our historical suffering. They're trying to include those people into our plight. But when you have Representative Pamela Paul saying that illegal immigrants need reparations, she has never uttered the words reparation for Black Americans. She is only focusing on illegal and immigrants. Black Americans are the only people who include everybody else in our business. And we are stopping that mess here on out because that's why we're delineating from all these other groups. And, I'm down with that. I am down with that. They look out for their own group, and this is why they surpass us economically and in education, as well as family rearing, because they practice group economics. When conservative Chief Justice John Roberts dismissed the argument that 8 billion people are just a plane away from I'm going to just say 8 billion people are just one plane ticket away from birthright citizenship, where a plane trip a where a plane trip of 8 billion people from becoming a US born citizen. We're so what we're dealing with here is something that was unknown at the time of the 14th Amendment was adopted, which is illegal immigration. Based on Chinese media reports, there are 500 birth tourism companies in the People's Republic of China whose business is to bring people here to give birth and return them to that nation. It's costing American taxpayers more than $2 million. JD Vance is setting up the fraud task force, particularly going after people who are scamming the healthcare system. I'm glad that JD Vance is setting up that task force because now we're going to see a lot of people get arrested because of this. This has been talked about for years. Birth tourism scamming our systems, illegals, and the amount is staggering. $2.1 million at least that prosecutors could track because of our 14th Amendment. If you're born on U.S. soil, you have access to get that U.S. citizenship. And other Western countries like Australia, the UK, they scaled back and changed their laws so that you can't do this. It is a problem because they're scamming our system. They are coming here lying on application to get free health care. All of these tangible resources, and we're paying for it. The taxpayer. That's our tax dollars paying for these illegal babies. The next generation of white Americans are going to be more anti black than the civil rights generation. About 86 million Latinos coming into the United States and about 41 million Asians. If we have not gotten anything after being number two for 400 years, guess what happens when we become number four? A wave of new groups are coming to America. They're coming in higher numbers, not to ally with us, but to compete and eventually to dominate and control. And that's what our immigration laws are based on race. What is it that we're not understanding? This is a real thing that is happening right now in real time. If we don't confront this slave mentality head on, then our children as a collective will become a permanent underclass in the country our ancestors built. Representative Pamela Jayapal is explaining why illegal immigrants and their children need reparation because they're traumatized, right? And this is what's pissing me off as a black man. Don't expect black people to vote Democrat at this point because they do not represent black America's interests. And if there are black Democrats that still stumping for the Democrats, those people are straight up sellouts. Like I say, we just have to separate from those type of people. Yes, they're in our families. It is what it is. They don't want anything to do with us. They just feed us a lie and want us to vote for them. They we are owed that from trauma. We are old because our generation wealth was stolen from us. You know what I'm saying? We didn't ask to come to this country. lazy white supremacist financial elites, stole us from our homeland. But I can't up and leave yet because I don't have much money. I'm on a shoestring budget. I gotta do this film. That's all I can say. For for example, when you look at black farmers, they own 90% of land. Today, less than 10% own land today. That is a problem. We are the ones that need repair. So why is Democrats advocating for everyone else, even white Americans, before they do anything for black Americans? 400 years of trauma, no help. Um, no critics question critical questions. In 400 years, did anyone help us with trauma? People being beaten, raped, sold, um, um, mutilated, experimented on, all kinds of horrific things. 400 years with total immunity. The trauma continues long after slavery. Remember George Floyd. Before I couldn't run to Africa, I have to get my Black Christian business, Cacao Chicago, up and running for the sake of our children because they deserve it. Because, I mean, but hey, shucks, this is the dilemma I'm going through. Like I say, I just want to, get it popping here in America for credibility. That's all. I encourage Black Americans, African immigrants, continental Africans, and non Black sympathizers to make arrangements with me to come on this platform so that way we can discuss social issues, or if you just want to promote your business and services, that's fine with me as well. Roland Martin's critique of FBA isn't a political argument, it's a loyalty argument. He's essentially saying if you don't support Democrats, you're anti black. The same garbage that Joe Biden said on the Breakfast Club with Charmaine the God. He said, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. And that is exactly the kind of thinking that has kept black Americans politically powerless for 60 years. What has uncond- what has unconditional black loyalty to the Democrat Party produce? We've given Democrats 90% of our vote constantly, and in return, we get empty promises and symbolism. Roland Martin talks about Phil, Philip Randolph using leverage against Truman in 1948, and he was correct. That was effective, but what made Randolph effective wasn't that he was willing to withhold support during until demanding until demand was met. He made Randolph effective that was willing to withhold support until demands were met. He wasn't telling black Americans to just vote Democrat and just trust the process. He was applying pressure. This is exactly what DAS FM, FBA, and ADOS are arguing for, demanding Pacific policies, demanding lineage based cash payment reparations, demanding an anti black hate crime bill. That's the truth that Roland don't say, and that's DAS FM needs to say louder. No political party is coming to save Black America. Neither party has put lineage based reparation on the table as a serious legislation priority. Neither party has moved the move to create specific enforcement remedies for descendants of American slaves. The only thing that produced policy is organizing specifically non negotiable demands backed by the willingness to push politicians who don't deliver. While Roland Martin is arguing about which party to vote for, Edward Blum is in federal court reshaping policy. He doesn't wait for election. He doesn't beg politicians. He simply sues. Black Americans have every right and every reason to be in those same courtrooms with lineage based claims that are historically airtight, demanding remedy through the legal system, not just the ballot box. Roland Martin understand politics, and I respect that. But understanding politics and being politically effective are two different things. And until descendants of American slaves, freemen start using economic leverage and organizing political demands as tools, the same way Edward Blum does, we will keep having the same arguments every 2 years when election season rolls around. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Thank you for listening to our audio podcast and for joining us on the stream. We greatly appreciate it. I need your support for our film project so that we can move Cam to the next level. That is the big screen to let the whole black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people, black Americans who identify as DAS FM, descendants of American slaves slash freemen who are trapped in American ghettos. Quote, Hood Liberator made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins, unquote. You can be a part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our crowdfunding pages, which are on our GoFundMe page, our Buy Me a Coffee page, or our PayPal Giving Fund page, which will help fund marketing, promotion, clearance, legal, and general expenses. If you are a U.S. citizen, then I recommend that you donate to our PayPal Giving Fund page because you can use it as a tax write off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith based community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99, or the softcover book is for $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all of the links below this audio podcast in the comments section. Thank you again for listening to our YouTube Live or the replay. If you are new to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast, welcome to our safe space where we discuss Black issues and African issues. We do this every week. This will conclude our audio podcast for today. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next episode. Peace and blessings. And um, we end this, um, before we end this podcast, we are going to look at a few slides, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Okay, let me go at the top first. So this is what I've read. And again, I recommend everybody that's listening, please follow me on here on my Medium page. And if you want, you can read the transcript yourself. That's fine with me. I take a lot of time in what I'm doing because all this stuff is important, ladies and gentlemen. It's all important. And this is where I'm at right now. I wish, if I had the capital, I would have the business up and running in Chicago. I would be through the business, have our Black youth, African youth in our Black empowerment films. That's what I would be doing. I'm just saying. So anyway, this is my here's my receipts, okay? So please, I would recommend that you look at all these different links, ladies and gentlemen. But I just want to point out some things. All right. So bear with me. And right here where it says my main sources, right here, I'm constantly going to keep talking about this. And that is a Zoom call of 44,000 Black women raised 1.5 million for Kamala Harris in 3 hours. And that's coming from the Fortune um, source. So, you click on there and you can see that for yourself, okay? Um, this is why I keep doing this stuff. This is why this is so important to me. It says, and this is coming from The Guardian, median wealth of Black Americans, quote, will fall to zero by 2053, unquote, warns new report. Now I say by 2040. So, it's like a 10-year difference. But bottom line, this is what's going to happen. But because of this off-code behavior among Black Americans, and yes, that's because of slavery, but still, that's the whole purpose of me trying to build this type of business so we can heal. So that way we can do business with other Black people and African people. Why do I have to have so much pushback? Why you ain't pushing back the dope man? Let him wither on the vine. But hey, I mean, that's all I can say. And then look at this right here. This is ABC News National Exit Polls Election 2024 results. Okay. And again, Black women, the 92%, and Black men, 77%. Those numbers based on Pamela Jayapal. Just think about her. She's talking about giving reparations to illegal immigrants. Y'all won't you use your power, that energy over here, so I can get this thing up and running? And it would be nice that it would expand across the United States to not just Chicago alone. But hey, it is what it is. But doggone it, you can't say a brother that ain't trying. And anybody tell me that I need to leave this alone and get a real job, because that's what my family members tell me. If you tell me that's that garbage, we will remain strangers for life. Mark my words. Don't tell me that kind of stuff. That's offensive. I want us as Black people to own and control our own stuff rather than begging these other. Okay, all right. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Here's one. This is going to be, I hope I can pull it up. If not, at least you'll see it. And you can pull it up on your end. But this is what I want. It's coming. Here it is. It's a TikTok video. Let's say, for example, if it doesn't pull it up, just go, if you have a TikTok account, you go there and then type in racism within jobs in Arizona and California. And so if I'm not able to pull it up, I'm just letting you know what it's saying. So this sister, she's complaining about, that she can't get, that Latinos won't hire Black people because they're requiring you to know Spanish. Well, if I had this business down there in Arizona or California, first we got to get it popping here in Chicago first. You wouldn't have to depend on other groups for a job. because we're going to hire our own. This is what I'm saying. But okay, let me see if I can pull this lady up, and that's all. I hope it would play. Okay, but doggone if you support. That's why I'm saying just the book. Help me get that book on that bestsellers list. Get behind this film project, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm saying. And we're going to look out for our own. And like I say, we are. That's all I'm trying to say. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to conclude the show for today. Peace and blessings.